Hello, everyone. Welcome back. That was a nice little double finger point.
That was good.
That was good. I feel like we've got the synergy down.
It wasn't even planned or anything. It's just so nice.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
great. I also, it's interesting. We're now #1 in the charts in the UK.
Yeah.
Our rap album.
What's the album called, though, is the question.
Wenger will never lose a map on a
Awoken. Okay,
Yeah.
I see. It's got a nice ring to it, clearly.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, you even knew right there. Obviously, we
Entire
collabed on
song
it, so it
dedicated
makes
to
sense.
that.
Yeah,
It's an instrumental.
yeah. There's a song called Garpy.
It's just
30 frags for the big dog. That's one of them. That's actually coming out as a single closer to Christmas. But
and you're going to make a serenade about Tox and what he just did to
I
Alec.
might do. I
Yeah.
might do because that's going down in history. That was a big moment.
I'd actually got to say that map 1 was probably my favourite map of the entire season.
It was good, wasn't it? It was actually
I
very
reckon.
enjoyable.
But my memory's terrible. I know we've had great maps all through the season, but that in itself just felt like the raw nature of
I
what
think
these
that
guys
was
can
the
do.
most excited we've been, purely in terms of just some of the crazy stuff that went on. But let's get into something else
Let's
that
do it.
is going to be exciting, of course. Our next matchup, Zoo.
I think it's a full CIS. So Bonanza there.
Well done.
Yeah, we got xron versus base. I'm pretty sure. I do have it right. Am I right? Am I being told am I right? Am I right? I'm right. Yeah.
Zoo's smiling out. It's all
This
going
is
crazy.
so base versus xron is actually a pretty insane game because these guys are going to be so familiar with each other, just being geographically that close to each other. It's very hard to tell who's a favorite because their playstyles clash quite hard. Maybe not as hard as, say, like a Tox versus a base, but base is kind of just trying to be different to everybody just because of his own defensive plays. He's trying to do anything to be nothing like what you're doing. Whereas xron is trying to be very optimized everywhere. He's a bit like a mini Kilson for me. He's gonna like hate me for saying this, but I feel like he's like Kilson but just a tiny bit worse. Because he does everything so brilliantly. His offensive game is great. His defensive game it's all incredibly measured. He adapts in the right moments. He's not kind of overly aggressive or defensive, which you can maybe sometimes criticize based on being overly defensive or passive. He's just got everything tuned really nicely. The different thing to Kilson that he's got, though, is that his aim isn't quite as erratic, which sometimes serves him very well, and sometimes you kind of need those crazy flicks to get yourself out of these mental situations.
Interesting stuff. Well, that's a quick overview of both of the players, but let's delve a little bit deeper into one of them, of course. Starting off here with a man that is on your screens. There he is, Base, Mr. Karate. You never want to hang around to see if he can actually unleash a Kamehameha, as you know, that would just blow you to bits. It'd be rough for Hadouken straight to the face.
Yeah, and there's actually been news about Black 100. The team that was... they released a video very recently on their YouTube. They're coming back into action. It has been 18 years since the team had been a thing, which is a team that Base played on all the way back then. And the fact that they're out again and they're actually getting involved in the modern esports circuit for Quake Champions is freaking cool. Okay.
Are you excited?
I'm really excited for that. And yeah, you should find those guys over on Twitter. There was a post on Reddit about it recently, so you guys should absolutely celebrate it because it's kind of like another portion of history returning back to the modern era. Absolutely love it. And the fact that Base is right at the head of it. They also talked about some possible other players being sponsored by them soon. So it's super awesome that they've been doing that.
Right, so much wonderful stuff going on there for Base. But what about the man he is going to be facing up against?
Yeah, well, we got xron over here. He's the handler. He's been actually getting better and better, I'd say. This year has been his strongest year for duel, in my opinion. And yeah, again, just a highly optimized machine who can take care of any situation with what looks like relative ease. He's kind of got that sort of systematic style and way of mouse control where everything looks so effortless for him.
Yeah, it very much does. He's actually been having a really great season so far, and hopefully he can show us a little bit more of that level of damage. We know he's got it within him, but is he going to be unleashing it tonight versus Big Man Base?
Yeah, I mean, we come down to predictions in terms of seeing who's going to win here. It gets really, really hard. I think both of these guys have been on a very positive upturn in terms of how they've been performing, and it would kill me one way or another to decide which one's going to be better than the other. I don't know if I have anything like, heart and mind and so on. I think xron might eke it out just. It's one of those things which looks like a sort of guaranteed 2-1 somehow, but we've had it so often where it's just not at all the same way. But I'd like to think that this is going to be a nail-biter.
Well, maybe this might help you make a bit of a prediction. We do have the vetoes for this series.
Right on. All right, Blood Run we start with. We've got Galena for base, and we've got a Ranger over for xron. We have got BJ and Eisen on map 2, and then, ooh, okay, that's really weird Blood Covenant. But both of them crouch sliding. That's going to be a lot of fun. I don't really know what to expect. Especially between these two, who aren't exactly known for that style of play. Both of them have been sort of fairly purist VQ3 a lot of the time, although xron has actually been practicing a decent amount of Slash. As for the champions and who it favors, I definitely side with base, actually. Galena versus Ranger is typically being fairly Galena-sided. However, if base does not get a lead, we could see what happened to him last time, where he's not able to make that comeback. And with Eisen, he's one of the most statistically strong champions at the moment, so I see him being successful. It's going to be a bit more crazy, I think, on the last map between Strog and Slash. But I like to think that xron will be just a narrow victory, very, very narrow. But now looking at that, I'm actually starting to side towards base.
Yeah, you think maybe lean towards base? Off the back of the vetoes, I was actually going to go for a 2-1 base there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the third map is the one where it could possibly go over to xron, because I just think that's going to be a bit of a bloodbath, really. That's going to be all out, just people sliding through pools of blood from the absolute mad fraggery that will occur. But let's get into it. Map 1 is coming up, base versus xron. Here we go, Zoo.
Right on. Let the action begin. We're on Blood Run, and we've got base to start with. He's on Galena, going to be unpunished up at heavy. Does need to collect himself those weapons, but it's a fairly comfortable position to be in. And he still has Totem in hand, but has not really had anywhere fun to put them down just yet. I'm trying to figure out where is xron. xron is just sneaking up, and hello, mate. He does back off a little bit, and it gives that tiny window of opportunity for base. Is he going to get the rail off? Oh my god. Base hits all that tri-bolt damage and hits the final rail shot. That was nutty.
Yeah, that is a sick way to open it up. Absolutely fantastic. As base opens it up with the opening kill. Looks to try and do some more already as well. That's only 40 seconds into the game, so this one is going to be spicy.
Got to, again, reinstate just how important it was that base got the first kill, because it's very difficult for him to catch up to a lead. Having the lead himself is just going to make life a lot easier. I mean, obviously, but xron would be laughing if he gets the first frag, because he can play defensively quite early on.
Ooh, drops the totem, picks up the health, so he's got the extra mega now in his back pocket. Starts to reposition. Now with the armor taken as well, so this is really bad for xron, especially when you're then slapped down by a rail shot straight to the chest.
These rails that both of the players are offering us are absolutely delightful. Can I have some more, please? As base is still in a slightly tenuous position with this amount of health and armor, won't have all the confidence like he had earlier on. And we've got that rotation starting to come up, looking to punish. xron will get away with plus 75 on his HP, but walks into the LG. And somehow it's xron who's just dealing all the damage, holding those tight angles. Base having to think twice, really, about where he goes. Needs to get over that 90 health threshold. xron is going to jump across. He's looking to punish with 2 rails. And xron knows this, so he's just trying to throw base off his aim, which just hasn't worked whatsoever. Look at the tri-bolt. How much damage has base been doing with that weapon? Insane control he's got with that.
Oh, the rail is just rampant right now for base. Every time he gets an opportunity, he'll land that depth-defying shot and put xron down in the dirt. This time around, it could also be the follow-up with a rocket. Instead, though, xron goes all in, gets up behind him, trying to hit him where it hurts. The tri-bolt will force him off. Base.
Kilson.
Looked like he wanted to try and initiate there.
Ooh. Oh my god. The drop down?
Oh,
Don't
no.
think he necessarily meant to do that. He's low on HP, but managed to just get away. However, if either of those last 2 shots hit, he was done for. But there's going to be the mega health, and xron somehow magics his way out of that situation. Slightly, partially down to the Kilson-esque plays we just saw from base.
So, I mean, the awkward part is all he has really is that rail. Didn't realize exactly how close Ron was until it was a little bit too late. By the time he tries to adjust, he's already dead. xron with the opening frag now on the board for his side, making it a 1-3 scoreline, and he will take the heavy as well.
Don't know if it caught side on there, not quite, but it doesn't even matter because we've got the mega health. xron, I think, is going to go quite furiously. He might even orb closer, but he needs an opening rail or something like that first. It's still quite dangerous. xron's chase wasn't bad at all, but it's all that defensive damage that base is landing. There's a good rail shot from xron. He'll have the light armor, make it back through the teleporter, and can now punish on this heavy pickup. Ooh. Really good play from him. The totem does help, but he should still be taking down base. Brilliantly done by the Ukrainian.
Yeah, nice to see the shotgun coming out as well. The showstopper. Really starting to do some damage. This is good, though. We're close to this actually being tied up. xron definitely getting confidence. He's put his boots on. He's done them up tight as he then leaps to the sky, gets into a better angle, a near miss. He's so low. He's got a dire orb out, surely. Instead, just goes for it as a bait and will rocket jump his way across once the timing comes up for the heavy. Grabs the two bubbles. Now fairly equal in terms of the stack. A near miss on the rail. This is a nail biter already.
Yeah, xron does pretty well. Was a little bit awkward over at the heavy, but it works out for him. And normally xron is the Tribolt king. He's been out-tribolted by base, so it looks like he's trying to return fire. Get that accolade back himself. He does need some more lightning gun ammo. He's been holding off quite a while of low LG and no rockets, and he finally kind of does the rounds a bit. Insane LG from base. Does he have perfect timing? He is going to go down. Jumps onto it, looking for the orb damage too. There's a totem up, but it's a rail for a rail. Oh, it was who's got the fastest finger first, and base wins that race, re-extending the lead. He will be happy with that, but there's a lot of work to be done in order to secure the control on the map.
Over the halfway point here. xron, 2 kills behind as base. Currently the one in the lead right now is looking to just carry on, adding to this total tally. A bit of a boop as he is forced back. His stack's not fantastic, but his fragging capabilities definitely have been. Roaming around now, though, as he's low in terms of ammunition. Good tag with the rocket on the escape. Fires up the follow-up, but it won't actually land. Almost killed as well, as he takes a rail straight to the face. It's a game of cat and mouse right now, but these cats and mice have guns.
You can see how much more work there is for base to hold on to this lead without control. When we watched Venga versus Kilson, he was going versus a kind of low mobility champion. And it was easier for him to just be listening and being very sensitive to the movements on the map. This time base has got to be really, really active and be predicting what xron is going to do, just a step or two ahead. Not bad defensive rockets. Still quite low. xron has been exchanging the damage relatively fairly. Oh, nasty amount of damage there. xron left low. There is mega health, but it's not up for a little bit of time. Still 2 seconds. xron, you're asking for way too much in this instance. That's been the big fault for xron, is just not quite that second perfect timing.
Finally goes down. Base left limited in terms of railgun ammunition. But he'll be damned if he can try and make it work at least and still get some shots off with the weapon. Trying to predict where xron is coming from. Doesn't have the correct read, but it won't matter as he gets the adjustment free. Really lovely rockets to blow him to bits as he leaves himself very low there on the flick up towards the heavy.
Oh my god. I think he went down to 1 HP just then. He didn't want to go over to the 225s because he felt xron could have chased up there, but it almost went wrong for him. 3 minutes to go. Base steps forward a little bit out of line just then, so we've got some good damage from xron, who's got his ability back up in 2 seconds time. I think he's going to keep persevering. Needs to get that orb onto him, but he cannot quite find that window chance to do it. So 7-2. And I feel like now base is just going to have to glide his way towards the end of the game, but still being pretty attentive, I think, for another minute at least, to make sure xron can't get that close to him. But these nails are hurting so much. xron makes it 3.
It's a big frag to find, but he really doesn't have too much more time to actually carry on and bridge the gap between these two men. If he's going to start to close this down, he needs to do so soon. Running low across the board, really, on weaponry to play with, as he's been shooting a lot out, but hasn't had much time to replenish. Waiting for the spawn to come in on the heavy. It's going to take a couple of seconds. He'll pick that up, and now once again needs to return off on his warpath. 2 minutes in total here for xron to equalize things, and base isn't giving him any opportunities.
Needs those rails. There's a totem gone. Trying to get a read on where he's meant to be, but little nail across, back to deny. Where's that damage going to come from? He's been rotating on the items a bit too much. He needs to leave items up. As soon as this Mega's gone, I do not want him to see going back to an item until he's at least done 150 damage to base.
Knows where he is, goes all in. Dire Orb to try and get him there quicker as he sprints after his opponent, but he's missing the shots. The rails are lackluster. Finally gets one off as he'll be able to connect directly onto base and tag him up, but it surely isn't going to be enough. He doesn't have much time here, Zoot. This is far too slow. He's got to up the ante. He's got to go in.
Oh, there, that follow-up rocket, that was really, really nice, but xron still hasn't done enough damage to base. Defensive play has been so strong. Base gets himself onto the Mega Health, and that's the GG moment right there. 8-3. And if there was any possibility of return, it's yeah, it's dead cold now.
Base looking like this one is absolutely claimed as his. Surely there's no chance. There just physically isn't enough time. Base still doesn't want to die either. Keeps himself alive to try and keep this within the region of an 8-3 scoreline at the end of the first map here, as it seems like it is going to be a base victory.
Yeah, very solid plays from base. We saw a far more dynamic defensive game from him, because it has been some instances where he does go versus low mobility, so he can play. It looks more casual, but it just means that you're playing more from the... even more so from the sound cues.
Yeah.
Whereas in this instance, you got xron who's going around the map at a much faster rate, and you have got to be cautious that you're even another room away, because that direct orb can come in, it can close the gap in an absolute instant, and then you're already in a fight then that you don't want to be a part of. So brilliant defensive rockets, which made him able to be prepared for that. So he already lowered xron's confidence to push in, and on top of that, he had that step ahead that he needed.
Yeah, really, really good display there from base overall. Yes. I think he played that one really tremendously, honestly. It's weird because it's one of those where you expect it to be a lot closer, and it definitely could have been. It's not as one-sided as it looks on paper through the scorelines. xron had some really masterclass moments where he was trying to get back in.
Yeah, that first frag was just astonishingly good, by the way. And xron was hitting his rails, that's let's say his best weapon. Yeah, I think just outclassed this map, but this is the map that I expect base to win at the same time. This is very much his home. I'm definitely expecting xron to be fighting back very strong on the next map.
We'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case when we delve into map 2. xron still has an opportunity here to sort things out. It hasn't got too far out of hand yet. Obviously, this is the first map of the 3-map series. If you want to get the majority of those points, you need to take 2 of the 3, so he very much still can do so. But base, if he keeps up this level of gameplay, then I think this is going to be a hard series. The Galena statistics still not lying to us as well.
Yeah, and Galena is a champion that he's so comfortable with at the same time. It's one of his home champions, I'd say. Base does have a deceptively wide range of champions that he's good at, though. Again, it's surprised not to be seeing maybe more clutch out from him. But the thing is, xron is also quite a good clutch player. And in terms of statistics, clutch has something like an 80 or a 90% win rate. The thing is, he's such a niche pick at the same time that he doesn't get banned out that often. So you normally see him banned out against a player like Wenger, like Razy, and possibly even players like Sib, who managed to get the map win versus to hang with clutch. So you tend to focus on it more then, and otherwise you're maybe getting rid of those far more statistically highly picked champions.
Well, let's see if that will affect things now then as we go into map 2. Base versus xron. As we switch on over, is Base going to be able to carry on his domination streak here?
And Base going to hold out here, open map. xron quickly swished away, and he'll get himself that lightning gun. And basically, he just wants to collect himself the weapons. No crazy plays going on at the moment. We're going to get to another rotation of items. And the players kind of have all the accessories that they desire.
Everything they could want to play with and slay with. Aizen's ability going to be coming back through though, so the Tempersome turret can come out to really be a bit of a predicament if in the right hands. Ron also having the Akimbo locked and loaded to go when he wants to use it. Hitting the minute mark now, as it has been a stalemate. No frags found for either side. Good turret placement to make this a bit of an annoying fight as they both battle over control of the heavy. It's not going to work out too well on the dual wield there for xron. He does lose out, meaning the heavy is taken by base.
Really disciplined play though from xron. He uses dual wield, he gets rid of the turret, but then he realizes, you know what, this fight is so difficult. If I lose out heavy, this is just a terrible mistake. So instead he's focusing himself over at the mega health, and he manages to actually secure the control off that full rotation. Now chasing down with the LG, the rail might save base for a moment, but he's still going to get swept away. That's going to be 1-0 to xron. Incredibly disciplined play, following it up with just solid aim. Oh my god, the rocket! He doesn't quite hit the rail. It's so difficult to justify pushing in now. The heavy's been taken, and xron's just got to leave.
He's actually very lucky he even gets away alive there at that point. So low, no HP really remaining, no armor at all, but they get back straight away into another fight. This one is not slowing down on the tempo side of things, as Ron looks to try and give it, even when he is limping around the map with blood dripping out from him. Base with another frag found, as he will finally eliminate him. Straight in though, lovely turret placement and the rocket to boot.
That's a very standard place to go to once you've got a frag with half-decent amount of resources left. xron should know better than to just jump straight towards the railgun.
xron with a misread there, letting himself down. Base going to use it as an opportunity to build himself a standpoint into the game though. He overthrows the current kill lead, looks to try and get a little bit more bang for his buck as well. Doesn't fancy dropping down the hole that could potentially spell his own demise. Instead, loops back around xron, not left with much. Base does go straight into the damage though. Didn't expect that to be fired towards him.
Oh my god! Just overcooked his jump for a second, but still hitting great rails. Checking the teleporter, LG will be another point to consider. He knows pretty much where xron is, and he's just picking him off with some delightful rails.
Some really big-time shots coming out. A lovely connection, a good adjustment. He gets in the back line as well. xron, no idea that he was there, as he turns up the heat, leaving him crisped on the floor with that lightning gun.
xron, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. What have we talked about, xron? You did that already once. You got to go get yourself that light. I know it can be dangerous if they pick another position on the map, but I just think that going for that railgun straight away, it's the main attraction point. It's where they put the big roller coaster. Don't go there.
Start off on the small rides, get yourself excited and help seltzer. You know, you don't go straight in.
What a rail from base. He had nothing but eyebrows to look at there. Okay, now he's got to watch out. That light armor that he was probably thinking about had he hit a rail and not been hit by one is now a distant dream. Distant dream seems like any major item at the moment, because xron has got the map to himself. Curious what xron is going to do with this, and whether he recognizes how in control he is at the moment.
Base crosses, gets a shot off with a rail. Limited in his supply for them as well, with only 5 in his back pocket. As he adjusts, picks up the light, has slightly more stack to play with now, but xron is getting bloated. He's feeding himself and getting the extra health to work with when he does get into the next firefight. Nice movement from base though. High elevated angle. Here's the push coming up. Very well timed rocket to rail combo.
100 damage rocket, 90 damage rail. There might be a 10-second miss time on this mega health. I'm curious what he's necessarily doing here. And xron, I think, has got good timing, but the execution of that rocket was certainly off. I think, okay, base built himself a great moment with that rocket to rail combo at the top of the bounce pad, but xron is the one who had the timing there to potentially punish on mega. Eventually it goes back to what it was about 40 seconds ago, and that's xron getting into full control.
Oof. Tag down. Base Left on 35 HP, the Rocket's on the way out, being chased by the dual-wielding demon that is xron. Wants to try and find him. It's a constant back and forth game of hide and seek though. And Base looks to be the hide and seek world champion for today.
And Base could have got himself over to Mega Health, but he's just realized that it's a bit too late to make that decision now. And xron never even went for the heavy. It was up, but he decided to focus straight onto the Mega Health. So things could have gone a little bit worse for wear there for xron. And Base is about to get himself to 100 just for a second. He enjoyed the 100 armor briefly, and his dreams are snatched away from him.
The close quarters combat. This could actually go the way of xron. Oh, the xron left so low. He had to chase there, tried to commit to it fully, knowing that both of them were in a dire position. Cast out the turret, goes back through with the tri-bolt. It's going to be a near miss, but it won't be the frag. It's a very awkward angle to get the shot off with the rail. Instead, he bails.
Mega Health is up, but Base possibly won't know that at all because xron was up at connector the whole time. There's every possibility that Mega was taken. So he's going to go back to the small items and continue playing a defensive game. Going to Mega just becomes a risk for him at that point, so better to play where he knows he can be safe. xron again hitting some exceptionally good rails. Base barely making it around the corner. Base might have even considered a rocket jump just then, but he had no time. xron finally closes the gap and picks up another frag.
xron. He's got still so much he needs to do here. And time is getting slimmer and slimmer as the seconds tick by. He does have his ability up though. Eisen's going to still take 15 seconds before he can use his. That's going to be popped to try and deny control of the Mega. Both of them in a very similar position. The dual rail was out, but none of the shots are going to land. But here comes the chase. Gets close. The consistent misses. He needs to land one of these. He has the stack advantage. The LG comes out to slay as he lights up the skies with bolts of lightning, looking for the exciting frag, but he's not going to find it. The return flick from Base, like 7 HP in a dream, and he lands the rail. What a clutch.
Insanely clutch rail shot. xron is going to have to keep on putting the pressure. Does he know he's around that corner? Has he got any other weapons to work with here? He's just got a rail and it wouldn't be enough to get the kill anyway. Unfortunate for xron, but running out of chances over here. There's a beautiful angle from him. But it's got to be back to that moment where you can no longer really focus on the items. You just got to chase, chase, chase. Who's going to have that better movement? Maximum speeds are the same for both of them, so it's just down to the skill of manipulating that.
Base tiptoeing his way through the tulips here as he just looks to try and keep this lead large and in charge. Warning shots whizzing by him. Can afford to play the slow game. Knows he's lost control of the Mega. Not really going to be fighting just yet to try and get the heavy either. xron should have free reign for that and will be able to locate it. And it already comes down to what is essentially the final 70 seconds of the game here now, Zoot.
Yeah, and you can just see that Base is doing what he's best at. Very passive. A lot of defense coming into work. Trying to avoid contact most of the time, actually. He'll occasionally go out for a rail and be like, do I need to stop any of that nice stack that you have? You'll hear him now. That's it. He catches a frame of information. But this time he gets the turret down and is like, I can do a lot of damage to her over here. Very surprised he didn't go up the bounce pad, but what does it matter when he's hitting rockets like this? 7-2. As it feels like so many kills that Base gets isn't down to him kind of launching himself necessarily at the opponent. It's how he punishes his opponent doing that.
Oh yeah, he's so good at essentially being the equivalent of like a trapdoor spider and waiting for, you know, an unbeknownst animal to walk over, and then he falls into the pit and he just never lets him out. He nibbles on his face. Yeah. That's what he's been doing consistently.
He nibbles on your face.
He does, and he's been doing such a good job of doing just that.
What's Russian for face nibbler? Let's figure that one out.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
I've been trying to get my Russian improved a little bit lately.
Yeah?
I mean, I've always wanted to have great Russian, but it's a very difficult language.
It is. It's quite hard to learn.
Going to get himself another. That is going to be 11-3 at that point. Expert performance from Base. I mean, xron is finding it incredibly difficult to get past this kind of wall of defense that Base is putting up. And the fact that he's been so good with the rockets. Look at that, almost 1,500 damage with the rockets. Control on the map is more or less even there. Slight major item advantage for xron. I think overall maybe 150 more in resources, but we got 800 more damage for Base. And that split there is basically in the rocket damage between them. So, yeah, if people are hitting defensive rockets like that, life is incredibly hard.
Yeah, it is really just absolutely rough stuff that is coming through right now. Base playing a fantastic game, a fantastic day for him, it seems, on the server as he looks poised. Everything's been really enjoyable to watch. The way he's been approaching the game, systematic understanding of his opposition. The movement as well was working out so well for him, but it felt like xron was giving him so many opportunities.
Yeah, there's these moments where xron is rushing in off the spawn towards the railgun. I think he did it twice very noticeably. Yeah, you can't do that. And I think xron would realize... You do that when you're impatient to pick up some weapons, but in a map with ruins, which can be played very slowly depending on especially how the frags pan out. If you get someone very low but you still die, then you can probably go for the weapon off the spawn because they're not going to go to the main attraction point. But if you die fairly convincingly, they're going to be holding on to those hotspots, and you've got to just work your way towards the major weapons just the same way as the major items.
You got to pick and choose when to be bold, and those moments probably aren't the correct.
It's the happy-go-lucky style to be like, off the spawn, go for the weapons, because, if I get them, brilliant, but if I don't, well, let's just hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
so
it didn't work out well.
And it's very unusual for xron to, I think, make those mistakes as well. He's normally really, really strong at being very disciplined, and the discipline wasn't quite there.
No. Is he going to be disciplined more so, though, from the man that is giving out backhanders right now? Base looking ridiculous on the server as we delve back in to map 3. This one is really going to be the decider here between the two in terms of, is it going to be a full 3-0, a potential another 3-0 for the day, or a 2-1?
I mean, I would have been very surprised if we had a 3-0, but I feel like Base is making very few errors at all. He seems to be judging every situation so greatly. Let's have a look. But this is going to be really an amusing game because we've got two players who aren't known for crouch sliding, using crouch sliding champions. xron getting a taste of the plasma trail right there. Don't have a lot to say about his movement at the moment, but it's the first 30 seconds. We'll hold on for a second.
Well, we'll see how it develops.
Yeah.
You can't judge a chicken before it's hatched.
I think that's what the phrase is. The thing is, xron has even said himself that Slash is one of his weaker champions. But sometimes he goes out with these interesting like his strategy sometimes in the picking process is to surprise his opponent. But I don't want him to surprise himself at the same time. So much damage from base. It just chases him down with the LG, and xron's struggling to get out of there.
I feel what you mean, though. It's like going on a cooking show, of like a come dine with me-esque show, and cooking a meal that you've never previously cooked before.
Yeah.
Because you're setting yourself up for defeat.
You have that on MasterChef as well sometimes. It's like, right, this is a task I need to do well, otherwise I'm gone. And then they just go, oh, well, this is like a ridiculous dish I've never cooked before.
I'm going to make a souffle. You ever made souffle before? No.
Well, xron made a souffle of base. Those are some seriously nice rail shots from him. He's left pretty low afterwards, and it's mid-rotation on the items. He happens to get himself a light armor, though, and that is going to make him feel a little bit better now that he's even Stevens with base.
Yeah, he did leave him fairly deflated. Oh, the response coming back up, though. xron perforated as he's left limping as he has to bounce himself out of there, shoots back, grabs the Mega just in the nick of time, literally keeping him in the game here. Oh, up close and personal, the awkward confrontation.
xron moving around a lot. I can hear the skates an awful lot, but he's not going very far. Sorry. Alright, I'll be nice, xron, I'll be nice. That's some good damage from him. However, he's also got a very fragile stack himself. He should be able to get onto the Mega Health. And now hoping that some armor will be able to complement that. And now things are looking good, but very good stop there as base is just sitting around the corner waiting to do some damage. He's expecting all these little tricks and traps from base. Ooh. There's the rails. More of those, please, xron.
Yeah, keep that up. That's what you want. The rockets as well will also be appreciated. Flips the bird and smashes him with a rail as base goes down and xron takes the advantage.
That's the ticket there, xron. He will lose out on the Mega Health. Pika. He's just trying to go directly towards it. It's like, right, I'll tank the 75 damage, but you know what? It's gone horribly wrong. The Pika does damage, and the Tri-Bolt is just a full load of blasts, and it lets base get through. Looks slightly awkward, but I don't dislike at all what xron was trying to do. Holy crap, though. 2 rails back-to-back, base in full control. And, I mean, it looks like he's going to be able to capitalize on some more kills here.
Ooh, base from across the way. Hits him, now starts to chase. Scoped him with a rail, but not going to find anything. Tried to go for the jump across with a nail gun. Can't quite get in range to grab it, but the Pika can definitely get up there. If he landed the connections, Ron would have been in an awful spot, but he does actually escape for now. He's confident enough to go for the repeak, though.
Trying to get some kind of damage onto the item just so base loses that confidence a little bit. If he hits the rail, it also means he might have enough time to be able to get onto the Mega himself. The thing is, base still doesn't have lightning gun or the rockets. He finally gets rockets. It costs him 90 health of damage. He's struggling to land. xron being very slippery across the floor. Oof.
Base. Ooh, denied there on the movement, as he'll get a small tap to the side and it will throw his momentum off. Rockets coming down towards him as well, hoping to crack through his carapace. Oh, they're pushing all in. 4 rockets remain, but he'll only need a couple of them. And the rail to finish the job takes down xron once again. And the follow-up to instantly kick this one off. It could have been sublime if he landed it, but he doesn't have the confidence to hold the angle. Isn't that risky? Doesn't want to potentially throw away the lead he started to build.
I'm very surprised xron went out again to face base.
Oh,
okay, heavy machine gun damage. It's just shredding base at the moment. He needs to get out of there. 4 health left. xron, does he know how weak he's got him? There's a mega health that he can take, and there is the speed he can invoke to close the gap. Base is trying to be a bit quiet at the moment, but he's giving away some information. Another rocket. There's the LG. Perfect chase down there from xron, putting it back to a 1-frag game.
This is beautiful. xron starting to feel like he's comfortable now in those skates as he is making moves all across the map, dropping shapes all over the gaff. Let's see if he can carry on doing some decimation, though, as he looks to try and track down base. There is still a 1-frag lead for him. They're both going to battle over control of the rail. He still has one in his arsenal, though, so he can definitely start to pop him off from a distance. Both of them firing off those warning shots. xron gliding over gracefully as he gets in position, taking a ton of damage on the entry. The Pika comes out, but the rocket is going to be the difference maker.
Yeah, catches the rockets while base is in Pika mode. We're on 4-4. Certainly got a game on our hands here. I think xron was looking slightly questionable right at the start of the map, but he seems to be coming into the zone. He is warmed up nice and hard over here. Still a couple of seconds left until the Mega's up, and xron's timing seems bang on. He's looking to get the follow-up DPS. Looks for a little flick. Shan't be rewarded with the damage, but will be rewarded with the health.
Chasing him down, gets off the opening rocket. He's in the air. Almost landed the rail that would have been just absolutely lethal. There's the follow-up, though, leaving him with just a mere few pixels of HP. They're both in the same boat, and it is rapidly sinking. Luckily, the spawn comes in clutch with the Mega there. Also, the light is going to be able to save his bacon and keep him alive for a few more minutes at most as he roams around, battling over defense of the heavy. From such an awful position, somehow xron has recovered.
They're very good backing off there and getting the right run for the resources. Giving himself a big chance of picking up the next kill, but walks past a defensive rocket. Base is surviving at the moment. Really doesn't want to give away another. That just makes the comeback harder and harder. The rails we're getting at the moment from xron. He should be able to get himself over to the heavy. Base is going to hear him and then just want to leave straight up. We've got a nice little split between the items. xron just looking at everywhere to see, is base nearby? Is base looking to do a damage on me when I get over towards the heavy armor? No? Okay, finally, taking my 10 seconds to check it. Let's rotate around again. He knows he's got that lead, but holding on to it's hard work. Oh, the rail. Another rail shot. Oh my god, he keeps hitting them. Base falls down. That's another kill to the Ukrainian. We got heavy up in 5 seconds. Base missing some shots uncharacteristically.
4-6. Not much time left, but it's still so close. It's still so competitive. Bear in mind that this is for Base to try and take it with a 3-0 victory here, so he needs to be very crisp going forward. Every fight has to favor him. xron tagged down, left in a bit of a dire spot when it comes to his overall stack, but has the read, knows that Base is coming towards him. If he can just carry on delaying in this manner, he might be able to squeeze it out and deny those bonus points. Or the rail. Nothing yet.
Yeah, he missed the light before, but he just had to make sure he would try to punish at least and have some presence at the heavy. Doesn't work out for him, so this is scary. xron's gone fairly passive, and we've got a chase down. Base should definitely get hold of this, and now xron's going to be off the spawn with no weapons and no stack at all. This has suddenly got pretty grim for xron, but Base doesn't ledge grab to get himself the mega health. He misses everything, and he just bounces to the feet of xron. He needs to get out of there, struggling to pick up the speed a little bit. There is a heavy for him. xron staring him down. What a rail shot from him. 2 rails from xron. 1 more to close out the map, quite possibly. He's going with a machine gun instead. And that is going to be 7-5. It looks like that could be the end of the chaos. xron could be getting himself some points and denying the 8.
It does look like the Base Chronicles versus xron here won't end with the ending he had in mind, the one of glory. Instead, it looks like it will be a split with a 2-1 scoreline of xron coming in last second to clutch it out here. Even if he finds a frag now, it will not be enough, and xron will instead do the exact opposite. Do some more damage to take this through with an 8-5 scoreline. You know what? Make it 9-5 in the final few seconds there as he gets the 2 rails off. This kitty has claws as xron shuts it down there.
Yeah, lovely job from xron. I actually wasn't expecting it to be like that. He looked a little bit shaky with Slash earlier on, but I gotta say Base looked a little bit shaky with Strog at the same time. You could see sometimes he's struggling to pick up the momentum that you might expect on someone like Tox. But the rails, both of these players going ham with the rails, 48%, 57%, both doing about 1600 or so damage with the weapon. xron, I think, was just a little bit more fluent with the rotations. Base almost made the comeback, but you could see that up the bounce pad at the mega health, he pushed towards the catwalk area instead of going to the mega that was actually up already. So as if he wanted to be poising himself a bit more aggressively.
Yeah.
And he was just totally negated right there. If he took the mega health, I actually thought there was a chance of him making the comeback.
Yeah, there was so many small scenarios throughout that one, but it did just feel like xron, once he kind of actually got that wind under his wings, he was really just showing no signs of slowing down. But, I don't know, it felt like that wasn't really the...
that kill was amazing, by the way.
The best sort of Strog we've seen. Just in terms of the movement alone, he did feel a little bit static in some of the situations that I feel like might have given him an edge if he looked a bit more comfortable.
Yeah. And xron was making good plays of the Slash when he was using the Plasma Trail. He was zoning out areas very effectively so that it made harder for Base to chase up bounce pads or through corridors, for instance. And the fact that he was landing his shots too, that always helps. When you've got a rail-heavy map like Blood Covenant, you need to be hitting those, stringing together 2, 3 in a row to secure big advantages against Base or whoever it happens to be.
Well, in the end, xron will shut it down with a victor, as he did take the game with a 9-5 scoreline, meaning that there is not the additional bonus points going the way of Base, which he'll probably actually be a little bit upset about, considering he was so close. You know, you do all the hard groundwork with the 2-0. Once you get to that sort of really close proximity, it's like, damn, it could have been so good.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking brilliant in maps 1 and 2. I think there was just a style that he's maybe not quite as rehearsed with, and maybe it's just him showing that he's trying to widen his champion pool even more. Said he's got a great champion pool, and you know what? It can only get better if you keep learning more champions. And in order to learn those more champions, you've got to have put the ones you're learning into practice in the competitive environment. So I think that's kind of what we saw Base do on map 3. But it's a shame that for him it turns out to be a risk and can cost some of those points on the leaderboards where he could be climbing his way up and up, because he's someone I'm expecting to do a lot of damage when we get over to Luca, as I really think he's been improving even more at the high level that he's been playing at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. He's been diversifying his bonds and has been looking amazing on the server. That is the end of that chapter, though. However, there is still more to come. The final Fright Night matchup of the day. Of course, this one is going to be the highlight. Will be up after the break.